Hello, welcome to Timeless Conversations, a channel where we talk about adulting,
the ups,
the downs, and everything in between.
between.
My name is Aisha, your host for today's episode.
My name is Robina.
I'm immaculate.
So, this is the time that you have gotten that long awaited email that invites you for an interview. You've been making thousands and thousands of applications, right? And here it is. Ladies, how was your experience?
Surprisingly, I haven't had enough interview experiences in my life, mostly because of the complexities of the career line that I chose to take. But I have been privileged to be on a number of interview panels. And I think I have more bad experiences to share than good experiences. Usually when a candidate comes in, one that you have invited for an interview, when they come in, they know what has brought them, or you can tell this person has put in the energy they want to be here. And so you have to merit them or credit them or give them the job, depending on what you're looking for. But then this one time, someone came in for an interview on a panel where I was sitting. And that experience has been unforgettable for me. I even remember it and I get mad. First of all,
What did they do?
they were smelly.
Whoa.
Yeah, and well, that can be excused because sometimes you didn't have transport, so you had to walk to the interview venue. But on top of being smelly, they had no idea what was going on. It felt a lot like this person was maybe a relative or someone related to the people in charge of that company. And so they came with the understanding of this thing is ours. This thing is ours.
I can just show up the way I want.
I can just show up and we are going to get it done. And I was like, wow, you're actually interviewing for a senior role, for a position here, and you want us to take you seriously. And this is how you show up. And you have not done any research. Some positions are very technical positions, so you need to know your stuff. Like, you need to know what has brought you here. When you receive that email address, when you receive that email inviting you for the interview, you better get ready. This person was not ready at all.
Oh, wow.
Or you would be in the middle of asking a question and they would say, is that water for drinking? Can I take some of that water?
Wow.
The audacity.
The audacity, it was a surprise to all of us. And it felt like, I even asked the interviewers, they are interviewing us. Are we here? Are we doing the right thing?
Maybe they actually were.
No, but then eventually we actually found out this person applied for the job, has good qualifications, could have fit for the job, but the way they showed up, we all left that room, one disgusted, very annoyed. Like, when they left the room, we were disgusted, we were annoyed. We couldn't imagine someone could show up to waste our time like that. It was very time wasting.
Very unfortunate.
That's
Robina?
unfortunate. My experience has been on both sides. I've been on a panel before, but also I've been interviewed before. And sometimes I could say not adequately preparing can ruin your entire interview experience. There's an interview that I went for and I didn't adequately prepare, and it was so challenging. I remember I didn't even silence my phone. I had done research, but just that day, just that day, the day that I was going for the interview, I didn't organize myself and put myself in the right mood for the interview. I didn't put my phone on silence because it's the one I was using to research as I waited for the panel. I came panicking. I didn't calm myself down. So it was a really, really terrible experience for me. My phone rang during the interview. You can't imagine how it destabilized me, how it disengaged me from what was going on, because I had to excuse myself, silence the phone, then come back. I was so disoriented. So that was my experience. That was a bad experience being on being interviewed. But on the flip side, while I was interviewing volunteers for a certain organization I worked for. Like you said, your experience was terrible. This guy was, he came in, he was okay, but some of the statements he was making during the interview process, he said, he even sat like this at some point. Then at some point he said, for Christ's sake. And we're like, what?
Yeah, people
So-
get too comfortable.
Yes. And man,
You
we really
remind
need
me
to.
of a meme I watched on TikTok. Someone was asking, when they ask you to get comfortable, and then you ask, who is that in the receptionist?
Wow. So we really need to adequately prepare for interviews. Yeah.
Yeah.
My most memorable interview experience was of this organization that I had very high regard for. And when I got to this environment, like in my head, I was like, this is the organization I pray to God
have
to
reached.
work for. You know, like the office setup is by the lakeside.
Wow.
Yeah, like you would really want to work for this organization. And I thought I had adequately prepared. I passed the first interviews, and I somehow got on the orals. And I found a very tough panel.
Oh.
These guys asked me questions. I got so disoriented, I started, you know, like real showing the nerves. And then,
those guys can be quite intimidating.
yes, I got
Much, yes.
intimidated, and I started speaking things that are so uncoordinated. And this is for an organization that I
That
was
you
really
really
dying
wanted,
to work
yeah.
for.
Yeah.
I remember them asking for my education certificates, and surprisingly, I had only carried duplicates.
Oh wow.
For
Only
someone,
the photocopies.
only
Yeah,
the photocopies.
photocopies.
For someone who has had a whole week to prepare for these interviews, how could I get here? And I didn't have originals of my, you know, my education documentation. So now I'm thinking, if you are going for an interview, at least the night before, have all your documentations properly, so that when they ask you for these things,
You're
you don't
showing
start
them.
throwing the bags upside down, flipping the files, you know. It makes you look like you don't qualify for this. Even when you have
Yes,
them,
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
you can lose an opportunity.
Just
Sometimes
like
nerves.
that.
Sometimes nerves.
My other question, ladies, is have you met an interview panel that is annoying?
Annoying.
In,
I would think, what's the measure?
in what sense?
In what
yeah.
sense? What's the measure of
Okay.
an annoying interview panel? You look at me and you're like, this woman is pissing me off.
Yeah.
You are the one who wants
Some
the
character-
job.
Yes.
Yeah, you've gone for a job.
Now I ask for in a place of interviews that are from high pressure environments. You know, I think some interviews are structured in a way that they want to test your level of working with pressure. They want
pressure.
they want to check your emotions. They want to make sure that you will not flip so easily
Yeah.
if faced with challenges at work.
Yeah.
So what do you
Yeah.
think of these interviews where you find someone asking wayward questions that you think are out of scope for this interview?
I think in such a case, like it's very common actually for one to test how well you work under pressure. But in such cases, keep calm. If the question is triggering you, bring yourself back in line and say, I came to answer that question. Find an answer for that question. So over and above, it's very important to be calm.
Yeah, you can also
Yeah.
take deep breaths.
Yeah.
If you think you're answering the questions way too fast, you can, you know, cool down, and I'm sure they will understand when you answer questions at a pace where you're not freaking out and panicking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think also you should control your emotions at that point. Some people can probe way too much,
Yeah.
but recollect yourself, like catch yourself when you are showing what is actually happening deep within.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
giving away.
Have emotional intelligence at that point, because they're trying to measure how you cope with stress levels, and they're exerting the stress on you intentionally to see how you respond to that. So catch yourself, have emotional intelligence, recollect yourself, take a minute if you can ask for that. I don't think it's it's an offense to ask
No,
for
it's
a
not.
minute,
No,
or
it's
even
not.
take a sip of water. Like
Yeah.
find a way to calm yourself down and answer the questions appropriately.
Yeah.
You remind me, recently I went for an interview and they were so kind. The gentleman told me, you can actually take a sip of water if you feel you're under
Yeah.
intense pressure. I wish
It
panels
helps
can do well like that.
It's very important for you to bring your human self
Mm.
to the interview. So the people you find, of course, may want to intimidate you, to show you, like, even these people have their other problems beyond the interview, so they may want to assert themselves as you're there at the interview. They may want, so it's important for you to be the one in the background thinking, but even nangendi muntu. I get scared, I get overwhelmed, I get intimidated, and it's important for you to know, if I get intimidated or if I get scared, what do I do?
Yes.
Yeah,
Can I ask for a glass of water? Can I say I need a break? Of course, not a break of going outside for 5 minutes,
Definitely.
but just taking a breather and you're like, oh, let me first pause. It's nice for you for people to see the humanity in you, for the interview panel to tell that, oh, okay, this person, there is a whole human inside them, not just a machine that we're about to hire.
That's absolutely true. I have another question, ladies.
Okay.
How well do we prepare and find out about the organization that we are going to work for and the role in terms of scope of what we shall do? How do you think someone does? How do they go about the preparation stage?
I think you need to research about the organization that you want to work for. I think you need to know what they do. Usually this information are on their websites, what they do, what they are about. Because you've already showed interest in working with them, you need to know what they are about. And also try to research about the role, get to know each nitty-gritty that is entailed in the role, and make sure that you can do all that is listed in the JD. Check the website and get all the nitty-gritty, so that when you appear on the panel, you look like you know what you came for, you know. You know exactly what you're trying to find. Their vision aligns with yours, or some of the things that you do, you're enthusiastic about. For example, like if they do biogas stuff and you're into energy or environmental preservation, talk enthusiastically about it, because now they will know that you're genuinely interested in the kind of work that they do. Yeah.
Amy, have you found someone who wants to work for an organization and they actually have no idea?
Yeah, I have. And I have appreciated one time when it happened that the person was very honest.
Oh.
They said, I tried to make some research, I checked the website, but I have no idea about early childhood. But I am ready to learn.
Yeah, that's a good attitude.
Yes. So they were very, very honest about it. They said, I have nothing about it. I'm, of course, looking for a job, but I am ready to learn and I am interested in learning about this. I have done some research. I'm not confident of the research that I have made for me to start spewing it out. You know, like, she came from a place of, I'm interested in this field. I know nothing about it, but I want to learn. And I have done some research. I have checked things out, but I don't want to start talking them here in front of you people who may know more than I do, and then I look wrong.
Yeah,
So
I think
yeah,
as
it
an
was a
interviewer, I
was
would be
very
very
impressive. Very impressive for me when I saw it. I think also another way that people can get to know more about the place where they are asking for a job. If you have a way around it, or if you have someone that you know there, speak to them, speak to the employees there. Some of the employees that will give you very clear-cut information are the salaries.
Oh,
They know.
interesting.
Yes.
And they're very willing to give you this information.
And they are very willing to give you this information. Another person in the department where you're asking for that job may not actually give you this information as freely as you want.
Or they would partially give it.
They would partially give it, yes. But there are people at the small people in that place. They have information. They surprisingly have information, and very good information that you can work with. So if the stakes are high, especially for certain jobs, in some jobs also but in some jobs the stakes are very, very high, so it's important for you to research as much as possible. If you feel what you have found on the website is not sufficient, find someone that you can speak to. They can give you
I like-
more information.
I like what you say, because who knows, this information that you seek might actually give you an insight of whether you actually want to
Fit,
go
yes.
ahead and have this job, or you might actually change your mind.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, we just don't want to get jobs, but we want to get jobs that
grow
will
us.
thrive our careers,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
I have another question for you, Robina. Amy. How do we negotiate salary?
Oh.
That's a tricky one, but
Or
it's
do we even
inevitable.
negotiate? Do we negotiate, or we just accept whatever we get?
During the interview, I don't think you've not yet got the job. What are you negotiating for?
But they ask the
They
salary
ask you.
question.
No, they ask you your salary expectation, and there I would say, give the highest amount possible. Even if they told you that job pays 700,000, you say I want 7 million. Give the highest amount possible, so that when you get to the part of salary negotiation,
Don't you think that would disqualify you?
I don't think so.
yeah,
These interviews, most of the questions that they ask about salary come at the end.
yes,
Yes.
And there's a reason why.
yeah,
I'm not sure that a salary expectation would change an interviewer's mind about
Yes.
someone that they already think they are good.
yes,
Because by the time they get to that question, they've already read an insight on who you are.
yes,
They have at least a skewed mind of, this person is a better fit for this role. So asking that question, I think, is also kind of irrelevant. What do you
I
think?
kind of disagree, guys. Imagine your budget is, let's say, 2 million.
or for an employee,
For an for the employee is off, like the budget for the employer is 2 million. And you come and say I want 10 million.
but imagine
Now, as
it
an
is too out of
employer,
range.
yes, as an employer, personally, coming from being on a panel before and also from things I've heard and stuff that have gone on, I feel like being overly exaggerating an amount
yeah,
kind of puts you in a disadvantage, because if my budget is 2 million and you're saying 10 million, there would be a second best candidate that I'd be willing to look at and consider, because they've said a reasonable amount. Let's say they've said 4 million. That one you feel like you can renegotiate with them
yeah.
and find a middle ground of both compromises, and
So
find
for me-
somewhere
For me, I come
to
from
place
the
you.
viewpoint of, while I hear you and I actually appreciate what you're saying, I come from the viewpoint of, by the time it's also very important to understand, why is this company hiring? Are they looking for a professional to do the job that they have,
Or whoever.
are they looking to fill a position? There's that.
Okay.
Sometimes they're hiring because they want to fill a position that opened up recently. Someone died or left the job. Things like that.
Did death have to come first?
Or someone left the
You've
job. So they
reminded me of something I read up.
Yeah.
As in, if you see an obituary somewhere in the papers, run.
run and apply.
Run up and you already-
Yeah, so sometimes they're hiring because they need to fill a position. And in that case, do not come and be asking for a lot of money. Because
There's already a set limit.
there's a set limit for what they are willing to pay you. But then sometimes they need a professional to do the job. And in those cases where you are applying as the professional to do that job, do not sell yourself short. Don't start asking things of, for you, what's your budget?
I feel
And
like
then you become modest about
Yeah,
it.
and
Now,
then you become
ladies,
modest.
this is my take on this.
Yeah.
I think there should be a balance of, do not oversell yourself,
Yes.
but also
Don't under.
do not under. The reason for it is there are market rates for most of these roles.
yes.
The industry has already set a pace for these
Yes.
organizations. So if you can try to research about your industry rate, okay? And once you have that, have a range. Do not go and say, I want 2M. If you have the organization's background in terms of salary, say my range is between 2.5 and 3.5, so that when you go into the negotiations after, by the time you reach that point, they've already ascertained that this is the right fit, and they are willing maybe to even go over and above. By the way, the reason why I do not encourage to stick to the organization's salary. Sometimes organizations go into restructuring. You find that the person who has left that
Was
organization
earning
was underpaid, and that was the reason for
For
them
their
to
leaving.
leave. So in that case, HR goes on to have, in that exit interview, while they're asking this person, why are you leaving? And they say, oh, the money was little. So they review the salary of that position. And when you come in, do not ask for the other person's salary they were getting. Find out and then come in to say, oh, this is mine.
For me, I'd also add on to that, in the wise words of Bad Black, know you're worthy. When
Know you are worthy.
you're worthy, and you know how much you're worth, and you come into this interview and you sell yourself, and you say my salary expectation is 10 or 12 million shillings, and you know that the level of work, the way I deliver my work, I can defend this salary. Say it with a lot of confidence. Why? Because sometimes even the interviewers, the company that is hiring, is willing to review what they are willing to pay. The thing Robina mentioned about budget, even if their budget is 2 million shillings, but they have seen that Neka Nakanaka Aisha, she will do the job. They'll say her, let us see if she will allow 4. Let us see if she will allow 5.
And then for you come with your 2M.
And then for you, what you ask for was 2 million, and again,
yeah.
No,
and
you are
HR
worthy.
is happy to save that money.
Yes, and
No, you are worth
save that money.
Worthy
No, you're
in
worthy.
Bad Black's well is what?
Another thing that I wanted to say is, okay, before I say that, I think let's know our worth, like she said, but also know your level of experience and what salary it attracts.
Yeah.
Like for your peers, you get. So do some research and know what your level of experience and your level of education attracts in terms of salary. Then another thing I wanted to ask you ladies, there's a way, as I don't know if it's a Ugandan thing, people don't like to talk about salaries. Is it, I don't know the reason, but I am made to think that people will measure you in terms of how much you earn when you talk about your salary. It's such a secretive thing in our world. So I'm asking, what is your take on when someone approaches you and wants to know the salary structure of the organization? Let's say I applied at an organization that you work at, and I want to know the salary range. I just want tips on how to answer this question effectively. What would you know, what advice would you give me, or would you be willing to share salary information?
I think also most Ugandans do not differentiate between gross pay and net pay. So in that conversation, be very clear. Are you asking gross? Because the government also has its money on your salary.
I know,
and
right?
It's quite high. So I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind a question on how much my money is. I mean, at the end of the day, this is information that HR has and finance.
Okay.
So how much do you earn?
Not for this.
Don't tell us. She's not asking for the good reason.
Not for this show.
It's a thing of knowing who is asking and why. For me, I would answer depending on that. Of who is asking and why are they asking.
I agree.
I want to know why you're asking. Like if you're asking generally for guidance to know how you can answer certain questions, I'm happy to share that information with you. But then some people are just asking so that they know how to weigh you.
Wow.
Like how much
and
respect
so
do you...
my response there becomes why do you need to know?
I hear you, but
Yeah.
I feel like we should demystify
Yes.
talking about salaries. There's
Normalize sharing what you earn.
and normalize helping people get their worthy when they come for interviews. Help them, support them in any way you can. Don't keep secrets per se, because it's kind of, I don't know, malice. And then also there's a famous influencer that I see online who goes around asking people about what they earn.
Oh, yes.
And it's intriguing
Those
to
are businessmen.
yes, it's for business, yes,
Yeah.
but it's also intriguing how sharing that kind of information and the industry they're in gives us perspective.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why for me, I'm for supporting people and helping them
Mm.
to demystify the salary question, but also to help them know how the organization works and
Yeah.
how best they can, you know, place themselves in terms of salary.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I hope you have learned as much as I did. This has been such an engaging conversation. I really, really learned a lot, and I know what to do next for my next interviews. Thank you so much for joining us. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment. Tell us, how did you prepare for the one that got you the job? But also, please let us know, how did we do? What do you want to see next in our next episodes? This video was shot and produced by HD Media. Shout out!
Oh.
Until next time, bye.
Bye.